Hey everyone, and welcome back to JMathTech. In today's video, I want to show you a project that I've been working on. It's called the BMI calculator. It's actually a Python script that defines a class that uses the BMI index to inherits from the CustomTkinter class. So CustomTkinter is actually a library that I'm going to show you here in just a minute. It's actually a fairly new library that I've been seeing across YouTube, so I wanted to try it out. And basically it's just a GUI interface, or a graphical utility interface, that uses the Tkinter library to basically make graphical applications. So let me go here, and I've actually forked this over on my GitHub. You can actually find the code to my project on github.com/jmathtech. But here's the CustomTkinter, and as you can see, it's by a guy named what's his name? Tom Szymanski. Szymanski, I think that's how you pronounce his name. But yeah, he definitely created a cool library here. So yeah, CustomTkinter is a Python UI library based on Tkinter, which I've just said. So yeah, and you can pretty much read more here on the GitHub channel here. But for now, I want to get right into the project here. I've already uploaded a project just in case that you wanted to go ahead and check it out on my GitHub. Once again, it's github.com/jmathtech, as you can see right up here. But first, if you haven't already, since we're going to be working in Python, you definitely want to use like a IDE, or integrated developer environment. So my integrated development environment of choice has been JetBrains PyCharm, and you can go to jetbrains.com. Once you go to jetbrains.com, and then you can go to developers link, click on that, and then boom, right here it's PyCharm. So you can just click the download button and go ahead and install it. It's a really good tool. And then also we pop open, here's the project right here. So, but once you're in PyCharm, then you can pretty much go ahead and file, new project, and then, you know, go ahead and type in BMI calculator. Preferably I use the underscores with it, and then well, since we've already created, you do that one, and then keep this as the main.py welcome script, and then you're going to hit create. Alright, but first, so now that we have the actual project open, I'm just going to run through it, and since the code is pretty much already here, just kind of follow along and see what I've already done. Alright, so basically what we have here is the from Tkinter import asterisk, and then let me go and zoom in just a little bit. Alright, so the CustomTkinter, and then yeah, so from the import, we're importing CustomTkinter, and this is where PyCharm actually helps out a lot, because the packages with Python, you can actually go ahead and type in, if you go down below here, so you go down here to Python packages, you'll be able to see the search right here, and then you can just go ahead and click on install. So yeah, it'll be an install button right on the side here, and then once you're able to do that, then you can go back and you know, continue to work on your project. Or you can pretty much also use the terminal, and you know, you can pretty much use the terminal and, you know, type it in from there. The link, it will be in the description. But so yeah. But yeah, this is the project that I've been working on, and it's pretty lengthy. I've actually blocked off some of the functions here just to make everything a little bit more organized. Alright, so first off, we want to enter in from Tkinter import asterisk, and then import CustomTkinter. All right, and that'll implement the CustomTkinter variable that we'll be using throughout the rest of the project. And then from there, you can let me go ahead and show you the project itself. So here's the application that I've actually created with the CustomTkinter library, and this is more of like a custom look. So in this case, I've actually set it up to where you can, as far as the appearance goes, I've set it up to where it starts on the system. So whatever theme that you have that's according to your desktop. So I have more of a dark theme right now. It'll basically populate as a dark theme on the app, just to kind of keep it all congruent. But if you have a light theme, then it'll adjust to that particular theme as well. And let me show you here just what I'm talking about. So if you were to change the theme and turn it to a light color, as you can see, the actual app has changed to a lighter color as well. Based on the system on your personal computer. So that's pretty much where we went at. So I want to change it back to my theme, and then as you can see, it changed back to a dark theme color. So, but right now we'll get right back to the project itself. So basically, the project will show your height in inches. So it'll prompt you to type in your height in inches, and if you don't know it, then you can pretty much always Google it. So I'm 6'3", 6'3". So basically, I would type in 75, and then as far as my weight goes, right now I'm at 180. So I'm 6'3" and then 180 pounds. And then I will go ahead and click on the calculate button to verify my body mass index. And right now it's at 22 point, if you round it off, it'll be about 22.5, which is considerably healthy. So, and I'm gonna show you what the health aspect of it is down below here. So basically, if you're anything below 16 BMI, then you'll be considered very underweight or very skinny. Anything under 18 is underweight. Anything in between 18 and 25 is considerably healthy, and then anything between 25 and 30 is overweight. And pretty much everything after 30 is just obese. So, but we're going to get into that. So that's one function that I've implemented in this, and this is pretty much the logic that I've implemented in my code, as you can see in the project. So anytime that you can type in a different number. Let's say that you're, I don't know, 6'3" and 212 pounds. You'll be a little overweight. Yeah, trust me, I've been there. I've been there. So once I really started recognizing this, I really focused and gone to the gym, and this actually really helped me out to kind of keep track and moderate my overall weight and just body mass index, if that's what you want to call it. But so I kind of stay around this area, and if this is a lot higher, then I'm pretty sure I need to work on that and hit the gym. But proper diet and good gym exercise always goes a long way. So I'm gonna close this out, and we're going to talk about the class BMI index with CustomTkinter.ctk. So basically, all all this brings in the import that we have. Like I said, we're using this variable within the class. So this is the parameter that we have within this class, BMI index. And then from there, we'll just use the init constructor to basically just use this throughout the entire class. So we have, and then we're going to use the super constructor. And if you don't know what this is, then I'll do a different video on all this stuff. So yeah, we're basically going to run through. Let me open this up and go back to the tkinter. So the example here. Now these are just examples from the official tkinter from Tom's GitHub page. So basically how this works is he's implemented. So all the labels is just you have this label here, which is the title. You have the appearance mode, enter your height, weight, etc., etc. So it's just the words in here, and then all of let's see here. Then you have the entries. Now the entries are a little bit different because the entries are basically these text boxes that we're going to enter in data. So or integers rather. So now I've typed it into my code to where if you were to enter a string, then it'll present an invalid input. So it'll throw a what do you call an exception. So, and that's why I have down below here. So try and accept value error. So if you don't enter in an integer, let's say up here, and then you enter in something that's not an integer or a number, then basically you'll get this error message down below. And let me zoom in just in case if you missed it. So yeah, enter in, and then boom, it'll type up an error message. So now if you do what it pretty much says to to enter in your height in inches and your weight in pounds and calculate, then you're going to get a good result out of it, the actual result out of it. So but yeah, I mean, it pretty much goes, it pretty much works hand in hand. But yeah, now let me go back up to pretty much where we got here. Now we have so you have the label, the frames. The frame itself is pretty much the entire window here that you see here, and you can always customize this frame by making it larger, and then the grid, which is 0 by 0, which is pretty much no columns, no rows. And the sticky thing, I really, you don't need it, but it was just there just to begin with. So the corner radius is pretty much the corners around the window of the frame, so that you can. I mean, you really don't need it. But I've implemented in there. If you wanted to make it look a little bit more sleeker, and then you have so that's the left frame. So the window, the geometry is actually the entire window. The frame is within the window itself. So these are the frames. So you have the left frame and the right frame. And pretty much anything that's in the left frame, you would implement that the label, these labels, and then over here I have the button. So pretty much you can enter in pretty much anything as long as it's within this frame. And then you can make even more frames, you know, within this this window here. So let me go back up here. Now the title is right up top, as you can see. The geometry is set at 640 by 410, which is you know, pretty sizable for this thing. I can actually bring it in a little bit more closer and have it you know, maybe by like I don't know, you can do like 480 by 410 or something like that, but I have to play around with it just to get a sizable thing. And then the resizable, if you set it to true, then you can pretty much move, you can pretty much maximize or minimize this entire window. But then again, that'll you know, that'll mess up the entire frames within the window. So you want to try to avoid doing that if you're making especially if you're making a Python script. All right, and then press grid to kind of like close it out. Now to create the multiple frames, like the columns and the rows, I've added 1 and then the weight as 1. So basically that's the bezel around these columns and rows that we have here. Alright, and then you have, of course, the frame left and frame right, which I've previously explained earlier. And of course your labels. So your labels, you can pretty much label them anything. I'm just using this as an example, but you can pretty much label them anything. But as long as you have label left, or in this case label right 1, label right 2, label right 3, label right 4, as I have a little bit more labels on the right hand side, I just pretty much go by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can write it as BMI left, BMI title left, as long as it has a solid variable name that you can use throughout the rest of the project. And I'll show you throughout the project what I mean by that. All right, and so this case, and then we have the CustomTkinter, which we're using from the import. CustomTkinter CTK label. So the CTK is basically the CustomTkinter library, and it's just an abbreviation for it. But they have different attributes to that. So you can use CTK label. You can use for the frames, you can use CTK frame. For the buttons, you can use CTK button, CTK entry, etc., etc. So you get the idea. And that basically all that means is whenever you use that CustomTkinter.ctk label, it will present itself. It will present the label. It will present the button that's already pre-built within the code. So it kind of gives you that, and then also you can customize that. But you know, I kind of like the standard version as well. You know, the standard properties of this thing. So it's pretty cool. And then you have all the elements that kind of go into the CustomTkinter .ctk label. Master frame right. So we're basically using. So the frame right will basically use master equals self, and then the frame, then the labels, since we're pushing it over to the left, we're going to use frame left since it's going to go over here. And this is for the title. You can add your text, and that's the title. And also you can use the font, CTK font, weight bold, size 18 or higher, however the bigger the size of the frame is, the bigger the font that you can implement in there. And then you can justify that to, it's pretty much like like CSS, if you will, when it comes to this part. So you're basically styling the frame that you have here. All right. So that's that, and then you go down to button. Same thing for button. Oh, that's more of a drop down. But same thing for the button. You can do the same thing for the button. Now the only difference with the button is that you have a different element to this. You have a different attribute. So or a different parameter rather, and you can go command equals self display. In this case, I have the display underscore BMI, which I just showed you. Well, actually, I don't think I did show you that, but that's one of the functions that we have down here. So anytime I press that button, it will express that logic in order to get the results that we're looking for. So I thought that's pretty cool. And here we have the CTK entry. So that's on the right hand side. So the right frame. So all the entry boxes that you see here are pretty much these guys right here. So everything is on the right frame. The entry underscore right underscore whichever number that I have here will be placed here, and then you can use it to you can pretty much use it to pad it however much you want. I can do 30 or 40 by 40 by 40, 10 by 10 by 10, you know, and that's where you have to just kind of, you know, use your eye to. It's kind of like little interior design with all of that. Like I said, it's pretty much like CSS. If you haven't done any cascading style sheets with HTML and JavaScript, then this is pretty much the Python version of that. So you're basically just styling and implementing the code in order to get the results that you wanted and how you see here. So it's all integrated, and then you can use it to style. That's the one thing I like about Python. It's like you can use it to style and have the graphical interface with it, and also you can add in the logic to it, all in one programming language. All right, so now we're gonna get down to a little bit about the appearance mode. And this is the appearance mode that we have here. So this is more like the drop down. The values that we have here. Let's see here. So the values are light, dark, and system. So in this case we have system. Now our default, by default, I've set it to where are you at? Up top here. I've set appearance mode to system. Now you can choose the different modes here, whether you want it. So anytime that you open up this program, it'll start on the system. But if you change this and set the string to dark or light, it'll start pretty much within that theme. So even if you set it to system and you have your actual computer, set to a light or dark theme, it'll adjust accordingly to this theme, and it'll make that light or dark theme show up here as well. So let me go back down, and then also set the default color theme. So I have it to dark blue, which is what you see here. So then let me go ahead and change this. So like if I stop the program and change this to green and then play back the program, now you see it's set to green. So kind of cool, huh? All right, and so also, yeah, that's pretty much it for the appearance mode. As you can see, there's the CTK label with the text, appearance mode, the grid, how you want it to be set. So you have the row, column, padding, et cetera, et cetera. However you want to set it up, you can pretty much, like I said, you can play around with this and set it up to where it's, it looks good to you. That's, I've had it. I've had the appearance mode down here before, and then I was like, you know what? Now I want to set it up here. And then also you can set other things, within this. You can also add more buttons or entry columns, whatever you want. So I think that's really cool. And then the menu option that you have here, of course, you want to set the master to frame left. If you have it on the left-hand frame, if you have this on the right-hand frame, you can do that too. And then let's see here. So the command for this one is the function that we have here. So anytime you see command, it's basically based off a function or some type of method. All right. So now, speaking of the functions, let's go into the functions. So this function here is basically set from this function up top, set appearance mode, and that's basically letting this function and the parameters within the function know to be like, hey, I want to change these, according to what I have here. Within this variable, and I want to, if I change to one of these values here, it's going to adjust accordingly to that. Bada bing, bada boom. So yeah, so that's basically the appearance mode that we have here, and then I chose to use this as a static method since that's pretty much not going anywhere. And you can set that as a string. Set the new appearance mode to string, because the strings are pretty much just words. They're just words or the values that you have that are used within these boxes. So these are your choices. It's kind of like a drop-down menu. These are your choices. You have light, dark, or system. All right. So let me open up the second function here, which is the BMI calculate. So you can set the parameter to self, and pretty much everything that I was talking about as far as like self, from the init parameter here, or excuse me, the init constructor here, you can pretty much set the parameter here, so that anything that you type within this function, or that you use, any variable that you use within this function, and variable, I mean by the attribute that you're using to describe, the variable could be anything. So if you type in any number, that can be anything, 75, 65, 45, whatever variable that you have, that whatever integer that you want to put within that. All right, so we're using the variable to describe the height meters, and we're using this basically a float. Now a float is basically it's kind of like the integer, but you're using it to narrow down the integer. You're using it in Python. You can use it as like whole numbers, or you can use it as decimals. But there's also a decimal, thing there too. So and that's in like C programming. It actually starts out in C programming, C#, C++. You get the gist. But float basically describes what this number is going to be, and that's like a math operation. All right, and then within that, you have your other variable, which is height inches. So height inches, and that's what we want, is the height in inches times this number. So this is the formula to basically find an inch. So 1 inch equals this. So in decimals. So as far as height in inches, 1 inch is equivalent to this number here. And then same thing with weight kilos. You're using this to find the float or the number within and translate that into weight or pounds times 1 kilogram, or 1 particular pound. So this many kilograms, I think it's like 453 kilograms, is equivalent to 1 pound. All right, so you have 453 is the equivalent to 1 pound, and then you use another variable, self.bmi. So we're trying to find the BMI between these two variables. So we've done the math here and here using that. Now we're trying to solve the math here and here. So it's a little bit of algebra, if you will, in this. So it's a little bit of algebra. And now when you do this, you're bringing in the weight kilos, which is already the equivalent to this right here, and you're bringing in divided by the height in meters in parentheses, because we're using this to multiply it times 2 times by the second power of this. So we're basically trying to find the BMI right now. So if this whole function tries all of this, then it will display the actual, it will give us our result. So that's pretty much how this works. So we're finding the height in meters, or the height in inches, and then we're finding the weight in pounds. So we type in weight in pounds, and then once we click on that, then we'll get our result. So basically all this whole code is pretty much the culprit for the whole entire the mathematics part of it, or the logic part of it. All right. Now, if it doesn't do that, like I said, so if you type it in your height in inches, which is 75, and then you just type in a string of some sort, then you're going to get a different result, or no result whatsoever. Yeah. So yeah. Yeah. Well, you're not going to get the same result, that's for sure, until you type in an actual string. But in this case, now if it does come up with an error, it'll say invalid input, that you need to actually type in some integers in these boxes here. All right. Cool. All right, so yeah, we're going to close up that function. Now we're going to open up the display underscore BMI. Same thing with self. So all this does is basically explain or displays the stuff that we pretty much have here. All right, so we're using the height in inches, and we're using the entry right, which we have here. So everything that's in place here So if I move this, you'll see the placeholder is your height in inches. I can always change that. Your weight in pounds, I can always change that. Alright. And then bring that down. Bring, let's see, entry right and entry right 1 and entry right 2. And bring that down within these parameters here. So you're using height in inches. And then you're going to use that, and now this really only works if you're actually using this to input any data, like my height in inches and then weight in pounds. So that's used to calculate that and display that within those entry boxes. And then same thing goes for the now if it tries this and you basically get an error, it will you'll use the accept value area to pretty much weed that out. And then now outside of that, you're using the BMI calculate, which we have here, to basically calculate everything that is in the third one. So the third entry right, which is the your body mass index, which is all this in here. So you're using that math from here down here. We're just basically calling the other function from up top down here in another function. And that's basically all we're doing. We say, hey, I need this. Hey, I need you. Okay, I got it. You know, it's basically communicating back and forth just to get, just a call from one function. Everything in this function will basically play out in this function and display it to the user here. Bada bang, bada boom. All right, and then we'll use the entry right. Where are you? Entry right 3. That's our GUI. That's our variable dot delete. So we don't want more numbers showing up. If you press this number, if you press this button multiple times, this number won't show up, and that's why we have the error here. So it won't show up multiple times, just by you pressing that number. That button. And then it'll basically give the result. This is our result status variable equals the get results. Same thing. We're using that function to call and get this function, which I'll go over in a minute. And we're configuring that and letting the label right 5, which is up top here. And I think that is this one right here. This little, everything that you see here is pretty much either labels or entries. So there's a lot that goes into this stuff that a lot of people don't see, but yeah, that's basically all of that in a nutshell. So anything that we basically call out from there, then it'll just show up within that. Now we're using the get status function and calling that, and I'm gonna go over get status to basically describe the result that we have here that I went over a little bit earlier. So anything like let's say if any result that comes up here, and if it's in between one of these numbers, so these are if statements. So if there's nothing in there, then it won't present anything. So it's just a blank space. It'll return a blank string. elif is if it is something in there and it's below 16, then it's pretty much very, very anorexic or skinny, very, very, severely underweight. All right. Now, or if, so basically this is saying or if elif is basically or if this same variable that we're using, self.bmi, which is the same variable that we used here. Well, let me go back actually. Yeah, the same variable that we used in the BMI calculate. So if it calculated and it ran under 16, or if it ran in between that, 18.5, which is pretty much the more accurate BMI calculations. If it goes to in between 25 to 18, it's considered, it will return a string saying that it's underweight, or that, if you're in between those two, it's considerably healthy. And in real life, you pretty much really want to stay around this range. And then if it's if you import or if you pretty much put in anything, if you get a result actually that's between 30 and 25, then it's a little overweight. Pretty much anything else will return obese after 30. So yeah, you have 29. So yeah, that's less than 30. So yeah, it'll be considerably overweight. So that's 6'3", 234 pounds, and your body mass will end up being 29.24. All right, now let me close that out. So now this is, and this last part is basically the root document that we've basically used to close the entire, this entire class, this entire application with. All right, and that is pretty much it. So it, it's a really a fun project to really start working on. Especially if you're getting into Python, and also you want to start off, if you want to get out of the console.log, or the console.log, just the console in general. If you're trying to get out of the console, which I pretty much mean this down here, and you just want to get out of the console and you want to actually use a GUI interface to try something like to actually get some sort of graphics, then this is pretty much the way to go. CustomTkinter, or you can just use a regular Tkinter. I like this a little bit better, just because it looks sleeker, it looks really cool. Tkinter normally it kind of reminds me of like Windows 95 or Windows 98 or something like that. No disrespect to Microsoft, I love y'all, but yeah. No, the Tkinter library is actually one of the standard libraries in Python, and so when you're using that, you're pretty much using a subsidiary of. When you're using CustomTkinter, you're using a subsidiary of Tkinter. And Tkinter, like I said, it's pretty cool, but at the same time, I'd rather stick with the custom stuff here. All right. So that's it for this video, and I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I hope you see you in future videos. Until next time, peace out.